Shirley Hyman Hickman was last seen leaving Park Avenue Cafe Bar in Philly on August 28, 1981. Witnesses say she was upset and crying and ended up leaving with two men in a blue van. She had been playing pool at the bar with friends and family members, but they left before she did. Police found the two men and questioned them, but both claimed they dropped Shirley off safe and sound. Unfortunately, Shirley was never seen again. What happened to Shirley Hyman Hickman? This case is brought to you by... Behind every true crime story is a shattered life. I have raised awareness for over 300 cases and have worked directly with the family members on many of them. This book highlights 40 case files. Some of them are famous, many of them are obscure. There's missing persons cases, unsolved homicides, serial killers, and more. Check out Shattered today to learn more. Today we're going to be talking about a cold case, missing persons case out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And today we are talking to the lovely Tajma and her daughter Shakira. And we're going to be talking about this cold case, and at the end we are going to be making a plea for information, because this is one of those tragic cases where there is just not enough information online. And so today we're going to interview these family members, and we ask you to open your heart and share this story. And we also ask you, if you have any information, to please call it in. Okay, so welcome to the show. Tajma, how are you today?
I'm doing okay.
Doing okay. Hello.
Yeah.
Shakira, thank you for joining us too. Okay, so we're talking today about Shirley Hyman Hickman, and she was last seen on August 28, 1981 in Philadelphia. She was leaving the Park Avenue Cafe Bar. She was 31 years old, and as far as we know, some witnesses say she left with two men in a blue van. She was very upset, it seemed, and yet no one tried to intervene or anything, and she's not been heard from since. Tell me about your mother, and tell me about who she was, what she liked to do, and just kind of give some people, who was Shirley?
Loving, spunky. She loved dancing, dressing up, bowling, pool, like playing pool. Family oriented, church, sung on a choir, had a husband, 3 girls. She was just a real outgoing person.
Sounds like an all-American mama.
She was. She was. And at times when she would go out, when I was younger, my dad, like I used to always want to follow her. For some strange reason, I don't know, but my dad said when I was younger, I used to always say, the bad man going to take her. Oh. And he was like, so that's probably why, you always want to follow her everywhere. When I say follow her, like literally, I got lost and the police picked me up, and my dad had to come get me from the police station because I was following behind my mother. And I think I was about 4. My dad said I was about 4 or 5 at the time.
How old was you when your mom went missing?
Actually, I had just turned 12 the day before that. The 27th is my birthday, and the 28th is when it happened.
What was going on in your mom's life during that time, during the first 2-3 months before she left? Was there anybody that was upset with her? Did she have any enemies?
We were staying with her best friend. I mean, we at times when her and my dad separated before, we would go either to my aunt's house or to my grandmom's house. And this time we just so happened to go to my mom's best friend's house. The day of my birthday, I know she was planning something, but because I think my birthday fell on that Thursday, or was it Friday? She was planning on doing something for my birthday. And then she, at the last minute, she told me to go to my auntie's house. Like, you know, you're going to your auntie's house. I said, okay, but I didn't think nothing of it because I said I'll probably come back home tomorrow, which would have been the 28th. As I was packing, I heard her crying. And I was like, you know, Mom was wrong. She kept saying nothing because back then when parents cried, they didn't tell you, I'm okay. I'm okay. Because as a child, like, you don't want to worry your children. You don't want them to get upset. But with me, when it came down to my mom, anything that upset her would upset me. And she just said, I shouldn't be here in my girlfriend's home with 3 children when I got a 4-bedroom house I can be in. And I'm saying, well, just call Daddy and tell him you want to come back home. And, you know, then she like walked away from me and just like going on like to say, I shouldn't be living here. I got a house that I can go live in and I don't understand why I can't go live in the house. And then I said again, I said, Mommy, we'll call Daddy. I said, you want me to call Daddy and tell him we want to come back home? She was like, no, I'm going to talk to him. Then she was like, I'm going to meet up with him because he's supposed to be dropping off some money for your birthday. Okay. And then I was like, so I'm thinking everything is okay. And, you know, she's still crying when I'm getting ready to leave. And I'm like, I'm not leaving, like, because you're crying. And she's like, I'm all right. And then she just told me, you know, then she just blurted out, if your girlfriend, if you have any friends and they boyfriend trying to come on to you, you better tell them the truth. I don't care if they don't accept it or not. And I'm saying, Mom, I'm just a child. Like, why are you telling me this? She said, because you of age now that you're preteen. Like, you're going to have boyfriends and you're going to have friends. And some of your friends' boyfriends probably may like you and may try to hit on you, but you better tell your girlfriends the truth. So in my head, I'm wondering, like, is that what just happened with her and my aunt? And I'm asking her, well, who are you talking about? She never specified who she was talking about, but I'm assuming she must be talking about my aunt husband. I can't think of nobody else because there ain't nobody else in this house, but that lives in this house except as far as another man, except for my aunt's husband. So I was assuming she was talking about him, and I just, you know, after a while, you know, I guess she stopped crying and she was like, I'm gonna be all right. And I was like, you sure, Mom? I really don't want to go because she's like, you know, I'm gonna meet up with your dad later on and I'm gonna go around to the bar and shoot some pool with your uncle and them. I said, okay. And she was like, call me when you get there. And by the time I got there and I called, she wasn't in the house. And then I didn't call her no more that night. And a couple of days after, the next day when I didn't hear from her, I just assumed that I could stay at my aunt's house because she never called to say, come on home. So I'm assuming. And then I'm going to say probably around the 31st, I think I got a call. My grandmama said, you know, I had to come home now. And she never told me why. And I said, but my mom ain't called me and told me I got to come home yet. So why I got to leave? And then she was like, something happened, so you need to come home. And when I came home, they said nobody had heard from her. And I was like, what you mean nobody heard from her? It's like, and then I immediately went to my aunt's house, which was right around the corner from the bar. My grandmother lived at 16 Westmoreland, which is a nice distance, but walking, it's about a 15-minute walk. And when I went to the house, the clothes that I seen my mom in, that was there. So I said she must have came home and changed her clothes because the clothes that I seen her in was in the dirty clothes and the clothes that she had on the bed was gone. So I said she must have changed her clothes. And I asked my cousin them, I said, well, have anybody talked to my mom? And they was like, no, my mom been trying to, you know, call around to see, you know, some of your family and friends, have anybody heard from her? Because back then, you know, nobody had cell phone pages, none of that. So you had to call people, you know, or go to people's houses and see if have anybody heard. And, you know, by her not really knowing all our family, the only people she could reach out to was like my mom's siblings and some of my mom's cousins that she hung out with. And, you know, and that night, my auntie, her name is Sandra, she's now deceased. She had called, she was like, asking me, well, when the last time I talked to her? I said, when I left the house on Friday. And then she was like, so you haven't talked to her none this weekend? Then she told me to call my stepfather. I called my stepfather. My stepfather said, you know, he said last time he seen her was Friday night also at the bar. He left her and my uncle at the bar.
So your stepdad did meet up with your mother that night at the bar. And your uncle was with your mom at the bar.
I think my uncle said they was playing pool. I'm trying to remember. Did my uncle there when my stepfather came to the bar? I'm not sure. I don't know if he was there with my mom at the time. He couldn't have been, because had he been there, my mom's brother would not have let nobody walk out no bar with her sister. Not with his sister, not two men. And so on top of it, she was crying.
He obviously left before she did.
Right.
Okay.
Because that was our neighborhood. That wasn't their neighborhood.
Right.
My uncles nor my stepfather. So, they know my mom played pool in that bar. So, it wasn't no big deal to leave her at the bar, because it has happened many times.
Right. Right. Now, when you say this Park Avenue Cafe Bar, it obviously, I'm not from the area, and some of my viewers may not be either. So describe this place. Was it a big place? Was it a small, mom and pop owned place? What kind of place was it?
Well, it was a nice size, because they had a kitchenette that was set a kitchen. It was attached to one part of the bar, but then you can also go out on the side down to the back of the bar to the actual kitchen itself.
So it was. It wasn't like a place that would 1,000 people could fit in, or was it a smaller joint?
I'm gonna say probably a good, because they had bars part over here, right here, right here. Like it had literally the bar itself was in the middle, and to the back of the bar was the pool table. To the front of the bar you had the bars, like the little what you call them, cubbies that you can go into.
Right.
And then some of them had tables, and they had it on both sides.
So we're not talking about a gigantic place a gigantic club where she would be not noticed going in and leaving. We're talking about a small place, a small enough place that people would have seen her come in, seen her leave, even though they didn't have video cameras. We're also talking about a small enough place that she frequented often to play pool. So we're talking about a place where she knew the area. She was there at least part of the time with people she trusted, and then but she left alone. By the time she was ready to leave, her people were gone. And so there was witnesses there that seen her, knew her from the area, people like what I would call hey buddies, people that you kind of say hey when you see them on the street kind of thing, acquaintances, people that would have recognized her. And somebody stepped up and said that she left with two men in a blue van crying.
And it was actually a bartender, and her name was Shirley, and she lived right across the street from the bar. So her and my mom knew each other outside of there, because her children, we went to school with Miss Shirley's children also. So she knew my mom. So that's why I couldn't understand. Well, when you seen her crying, the police station is right across the street. Nobody stopped to think like, you know what? Send somebody over there to the police station and tell them, come on over here, because this don't look right. Like these are not people you've seen in this bar before with her.
Right. So this bartender, she didn't know the two men that she left with.
No. But so she's the one who gave up the information.
She was the one that said, hey, she left. She seemed upset. I wonder if it was something along the lines of she was tending other people, and then by the time she got outside, she was gone? Or did she elaborate, or did she just say, hey, she left with two guys?
She said, I noticed her talking to two guys. She was crying. She said, and then I noticed the two guys taking her out. And I don't know if she left out the bar to see, because she's the one who gave the description of the van.
Of course, that could have been, if there was a window in the front, could she have just seen the van, or?
No, it was no window in the front.
So she would have had to go outside to see the blue van.
Right, and a lot of times what they did was they would keep their front door open and hitch something under it, so you could actually see outside into the streets.
Okay. So this bartender, Shirley, knew your mother, so we do know that was the case, but she didn't know the two men that she talked to. So here's a question. She left with two unknown men, and she got into a blue van with these two unknown men. But we also know that at some point in time during the night, her estranged husband was there, and her her brother, your
Right.
uncle was there. And so, but at that time, those two guys were gone, obviously. But and this seems like an obvious question, but I have to ask because I know one of the viewers will. These two men that Shirley did not know, the bartender Shirley did not know, they wouldn't have been your uncle or your stepfather because neither one of them had a blue van, did they?
No.
Okay. I thought I read that somewhere, but that's one of those things you have to ask. So
years later, the two private investigators that were working on the case.
Mm-hmm.
One of them name was Robert Rowe, and one of them name was Arnold Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Arnold Mitchell is now deceased, mm-hmm. but it was an envelope that they gave me that had like all this stuff in it. It had the night it happened. It had the two men. It had their names, mm-hmm. their addresses, and everything. The one who van it was, when I contacted him and asked him, did he know the next gentleman? He said, yes, but me and him don't speak because he could have put my life in danger. He never elaborated on what that meant. Mm. Okay, so you're just the driver. You dropped him and my mother off somewhere? Yes, I did. Do you remember where you dropped them off? He said down there by Lehigh 26, I think he said 26 in Indiana, which so happened to be the other gentleman's neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Now, like I said, years later, when I come across this information, it was me, my uncle, and a guy from the Philadelphia Inquirer who wrote an article on it, went to the gentleman's house. And, we talking to the gentleman, and he's saying he didn't know my mom. And I said to this man, well, how can I now as an adult come to your home and know you? I was 12 years old when it happened. I know where you worked at. Like, I knew who van you was in that night. How did I come about this information if you didn't know my mother? So your friend Van was linked to your friend and you were linked to the last people leaving the bar with my mother. Mm-hmm. And then as he, as we sitting up there going on and on, like, mister, I was 12 years old. There's no way in the world I could have known who you are, where you work, and your address. There's no way in the world I would be able to have all this information. Some kind of way, I had to get this information some kind of way. And it was a witness that gave the information up. And I guess they had contacted the person who owned the van. And he in contact was telling them, yeah, that's my van. Yeah, I did remember a situation, dropping a lady off, with my friend. Mm-hmm. But she wasn't my friend. That was my friend's friend. Mm-hmm. So then I said, even in the paper, in the notes that I had, it said that when they went to the police, they considered it like she was a prostitute. And I'm saying, well, what gave them that idea? Oh, I see. Because you said my mom called you on the phone. You met my mom not too far from your house because you were married and gave her some money. But did you exchange sex for that money? He said no. So where did they get she was a prostitute from? My mother was not a drug addict. My mother was, she drank beer periodically. And at that time, I think she used to smoke weed. I can't say, I think she did. When I'm younger looking back, I remember it looked like cigarettes. But then, I don't know. But if it was, I say weed back then. But, it was nothing to make her impair her ability to know where she was, who she was with, things of that nature.
Right. So, you were 12 years old, so I know a lot of things probably people around you tried to hide things from you, since you were a child. But tell me
but I was a questionable child.
Well, when it's your mom, you have every right under the sun to question, but also as a parent, if something happened and I would be trying to shield my 12-year-old, so I can understand. But tell me from your perspective and maybe what you've learned since, what did anybody do? Did anybody do anything other than make a few phone calls to try to find your mom? Did the police pick up anything and do anything?
That was it. When I finally went into the 35th district, they said that's who handled the case. Like, it's been so much running around over the years dealing with these police. It's like it's a cold case. I understand it's a cold case, but it got notes. Somebody got some notes somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Even if y'all didn't have computers back then, y'all have archives. You tell me you cannot go back into your archive and try to figure out who had this case. And I came to so close last year to actually talk to somebody just to find out, well, they don't have it.
Mm-hmm. So somewhere in all these years, they're saying that they don't have a file on your mom, or are they just saying that they're still looking for it?
They don't know who handled the case because the two actual officers that was handling long-term cold cases retired.
Mm. So they don't have any more cold case investigators in Philly?
Yes, yeah, they do, but I just feel like it's
Sorry,
like
that's a little bit of Southern sarcasm there.
No. But you're right. They do have a lot more because they still have a unit that deals with these cases. Mm-hmm. And I left my number, and over a period of, like I said, about a year now. Mm-hmm. Like every now and then calling. Okay, well, I left messages for this officer, but no one yet have called back. Well, Miss, now with the pandemic, now that falls into play. Since then, no, I have not. But the last time I actually called was actually in February of this year. Mm-hmm.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bones Coffee Company. You can forget about boring coffee when you drink Bones Coffee. Not only do they offer a variety of flavors such as strawberry cheesecake and maple bacon, they are a family-owned company that puts great detail not only in their coffee, but in the artwork that comes on each individual bag. Bones Coffee has a coffee club that will deliver your favorite coffee to your door every month. If that wasn't enough, they also have some amazing swag to offer. Check out Bones Coffee Company today. I'll have my affiliate links in the show notes for you.
So, okay, so we're just gonna, I'm gonna get some basic information from you. I tried to pull up, you're gonna see some flashing on my screen. The light will change a little bit because I'm pulling up a different website here. And I have seen some differences in her information. Hang on, let me.
The Charlie Project.
Yes, and so I'm thinking I would like to get it straight from you. You know, her information, because I want, you know, if I'm going to be looking through everything, I want to have the right information. Okay, so one site says she's 30, one site says she was 31. How old was she when she went missing?
Let me see. I think she was born 1950. Mm-hmm. So that would have put her 50, 60. Well, it would have put her at 31.
Okay, because see, that's the next thing. Her birthday on this site says 1951. The other site says something else, and so I'm not sure which one is correct. And so I thought I'd ask you to see if you knew, you know, so I could get the.
If I'm not mistaken, my dad said she was born 1950, March 23rd, 1950.
Okay, so that would make her this side. She has it down as 3/23 of 1951, and so it's actually 1950. So that would change that. Okay, and she went missing on August 28th, 1981, correct?
Right.
Okay, now I see on two different sites here, I see one that says she was 5'1", another that says she's 5'5".
No, she was 5'1".
5'1".
Because I was taller than my mom.
I understand. I'm 5'2". I never could get any more than that. So, okay. So, okay. That's the main things I noticed that was discrepancies, because and I know it doesn't seem like much to some people, but when you are looking through these kinds of things, those details can make a big difference. Now, if you find somebody, you know, if you find somebody, there's a big difference between 5'1" and 5'5". You know, so, you know, it may not sound like much, but it is a big difference. Now, this says I have a list of clothing and jewelry that she was supposedly seen in last. Now, I'm curious is if this was the outfit that you seen her in, or if it's the outfit that the bartender seen her in. It says a white sweater, blue jeans, tan slip-on sandals, a ring that looks like a wreath, and sunglasses.
That's the outfit she had on the bed when I left, because when I left, she had on a pair of shorts.
Okay. So this would be the outfit that the bartender seen her in.
Yes.
Okay. So that's accurate then. Okay. So what do you have any thoughts, theories on what you think happened? Do you this is a really tough question, but do you think she was trafficked, or do you think she is gone?
For the first time, I could say I feel like she's gone. Only reason I'm saying that because a few years ago I had a vision, and I felt like she took her last breath then. And I had spoke my daughter and my husband and my children. Mm-hmm. Now, even recently, I even had a vision of seeing her in a rural area with some leaves, a factory, train tracks. And I'm saying, like, the place where I am in the dream, like, it's like I've been there before, like I've seen it before. So, like I said, for the first time, I can say I feel like she is gone. Now, before, I felt like she probably was tricked by somebody she knew. And I truly believe, after talking with this gentleman, after went from not knowing my mom to, oh, yeah, well, she called me up and I met her on the corner, gave her some money. Like, I feel like maybe something happened then between the two, or maybe he felt like, my mother was a threat to his marriage, To my understanding, I later found out one of my mom's cousins had introduced her to this person. So I don't know if she was introducing her as like the get to know this person, introducing, or just to hang out with him. But for this man to say, she called me on the phone and I had to go meet her because I didn't want my wife to find out, then that kind of made me think, okay, well, maybe something happened and his wife found out and he had no other choice but to, hurt her. Mm-hmm. Not realizing he probably thought at one, I'm hurting her, you understand? Or I'll knock her down or I'll punch her and she fall out and hit her head, because the street that we lived on was at literally, I can cross my house, go out my door, cross diagonal, and there was train tracks right there. The street that I lived on was like, it's like, how can I put it? It wasn't a two-way street. It's like, it's right behind the police station, right behind the bar, and there's no other block connected to there on one side, but on the opposite side, it is another street connected too. And so I'm saying maybe something happened there, and the men worked in that area. They worked at the Bud factory, and they worked there for over 20 years. And right behind Bud factory is them same tracks that run from 22nd and Huntington Park, where I was living at, on Ruffin Street, run straight down by Bud factory all the way down to, I'm gonna say 30th Street.
So here's a question. The two men that were in that blue vehicle, are they still alive?
Well, one of them, to my understanding, last I heard, he was in a nursing home. Okay. And that was about a year ago. I'm going to say 2 years ago, he was in a nursing home. And that's before the detectives retired. I said to them, I do not want to press no charges. All I want to know is, where's her body? I promise you, he will not have to worry about nobody bringing no charge against him. Because at this point in my life, like, you're an old man, you in a nursing home. I can't do no more damage to you. You sitting in the prison may help you die a little quicker. But, no, I just want to know where's her body.
Yeah.
But they never went out to the nursing home.
We haven't gone out there.
No.
And so the driver, is he still alive? As far as you know?
I don't know, because last time I talked to him was around the same time. Okay. And I misplaced his number because I was even trying to locate him again.
Okay. Well, so here, just for my viewers, I want you guys to look into this. I will write up a new blog post for you guys to read and get all the details that I can. But we need you to share this video.
Are you allowed to say names?
Yes, if you want to say names, we'll say names. But
Okay.
the thing is we want to make sure that you share the video because we need people to come forward. Even though it was 1981 and there weren't a bunch of cell phones with video cameras, even though there wasn't a lot of security systems in place, somebody had to see this woman, these two men in this blue van. They had to drive a distance, then they had to get out of that van. Somebody had to see her, they had to see the van, they had to see these men, they had to see them enter and exit the van. Somebody had to see that. You can't live in you know, they didn't live on a remote island with 5 people. You know, they were in the middle of the city, so somebody had to see them. And so we want you to share this video for these people, because this is her daughter. We're talking to the daughter that has lived all this time not knowing what's happened to her mom. And so we need you to share this, and we need you, if you have any information, to send it in. If you're uncomfortable sending it to law enforcement, you can send it to me. I will forward it to the law enforcement. That is, I will be the go-between, because this needs to be solved. And like Tajma said, it's so much time has elapsed. You know, is there any way to get justice in this case? You might get someone in the court of law and you might get someone convicted, but after all these years, that's not really justice, because this poor woman's had to live her whole life without her mother. So that's not justice in my book. But we do need this information, and we would like to have, you know, be able to bring Shirley home and give her a proper place to rest. And so,
Yes.
So I will be writing more another article for you. And if you have any more information you want to email me or send to me, I will include it. Is there anything else you would like to add before we stop on the video?
Yes. If I'm not mistaken, I think the police station had cameras on their
building.
Yes.
So if from where the bar was, the little pool hall that she was at, from where that was to where this guy supposedly dropped him off, would they have passed the police station?
Yes, it's like literally they would be right outside the police station.
Okay, so potentially, if we hadn't gone all these decades, there could have been videotape back then of the blue van going past the police station.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so well, I'm going to, that is disturbing.
Now, do you want these gentlemen's names?
Sure, you can throw them on me. Okay. You know, we will tell our viewers this is alleged. You know, allegedly these are the men that could have done something to Shirley. We don't know. But
or was last seen with her.
We do know that they were the last people seen with her.
Yes.
We do know that haven't been forthcoming with a lot of information. We also know that they haven't made a public stand of trying to help figure this out either. So yeah, lay it on me.
Thomas Long and Fred Holland. They worked at the Bud Company.
Okay.
And that Bud Company was on, well, not Fox Street. It's on between, like, right off of Fox and Hunting Park.
Okay. Okay. And see, to me, if you're not guilty, you shouldn't have anything to hide. You know, if you're, you know, now there's sometimes where people, they might be hesitant to help law enforcement because they've got a history or something, but we're asking you to reach out to Sonova Inc. So if you have a tip and you're too afraid to call the cops, message me. I will forward it.
And they can also they can do anonymous through We Bring You Hope.
We Bring You Hope. Michelle's program is incredible. I love her. There's and then I'm sure Philly has a tip line, don't they? I'm sure the police station has a tip line they can call.
Yes, they do.
So, but I'm going to make a plea here. This is a daughter that has had to live without her mother since she was a 12-year-old girl. Her mother has missed her daughter going through all of her teenage years. She's missed her daughter in school. She's missed her daughter having children. She's missed her grandkids. She's missed the graduations, the weddings, the funerals. She's missed a lifetime of experiences. And I want you guys to look at this case and think, what if I had to experience life without my mother? And I want you to take that compassion and use it. Share this video. Share I'll put a blog post out with the information for Shirley. It doesn't seem like a lot, but you could be sharing it to the one person who knows something. So
I pray.
So we ask you to find the love in your heart and say, hey, if this was my mom, I would want someone to help me. And so today, I thank you girls for being on this video with me. I will get it edited and uploaded within a few days, and I'll send you guys the links. And hopefully we can generate some buzz around this case and somebody will step up and do something. I appreciate you guys coming on and being on the show with us.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bones Coffee Company. You can forget about boring coffee when you drink Bones Coffee. Not only do they offer a variety of flavors such as strawberry cheesecake and maple bacon, they are a family-owned company that puts great detail not only in their coffee, but in the artwork that comes on each individual bag. Bones Coffee has a coffee club that will deliver your favorite coffee to your door every month. If that wasn't enough, they also have some amazing swag to offer. Check out Bones Coffee Company today. I'll have my affiliate links in the show notes for you.